What is my current task? I've been very distracted. That is just a fact. I've been not doing anything very productive today, and we're already 4 hours in. I mean, look, at the start it was just because the bot had a problem and I needed to fix it, and I probably still need to fix it at some point soon. But the last session, maybe even 2 sessions, I've just been all over the place. How was the trip? It was good. It was really good. The trouble with a question like that is I feel like there are so many things that when they happen, I'm like, oh, I'll have to tell people about that when I get back. And then they don't come to my mind ever again. Let's see. I went to some recordings, like live recordings of my favorite podcast. They were awesome. I saw the eclipse. That was cool. Caught up with some friends. It's always good. Got my stuff out of storage. I officially do not have anything in storage anymore. So that will, in the long run, save me some money, hopefully. It was a mission trying to get all my stuff back. Like, I had to like repack my bags 4 times. It was ridiculous. No hay problema, Johanna. Buena suerte. Nos vemos cuando puedes tener un descanso. Yeah, so there was that. I'm thinking about moving back to Washington D.C. That's definitely I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I've spoken to you guys that are here now about that before. Like, one of the big kind of worries I would have if I did move back was that, like, I don't think I've spoken about this on stream, actually. I don't think I've ever spoken about this on stream. Sería fácil aprender inglés contigo, pronuncias muy claro. Gracias, Johanna. Me alegro a escucharlo, porque generalmente eso es el opuesto con australianos. Entonces, gracias. Johanna's just said that it would be easy to learn English with me because I pronounce things clearly, so I will accept that compliment. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I don't think I've ever asked you this, Alex, but do you stream at all? I feel like you're a mod in multiple places, but I don't think I've seen you live, but maybe I don't follow you, and that would be a reason. I know I do follow you, but also it might be timing. Anyway, glad you had a nice trip though. Yeah, thanks, Mooney. Also, actually remind me, Mooney, are you in America, or are you, I feel like you're Southeast Asia, but I don't think I ever asked you this, but you don't have to answer as well. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but like moving in the short or long term. Oh, look, I'm just thinking about it. In California. Okay, yeah, I don't think I ever asked you that. Should have come to Dallas. El inglés australiano parece más fácil que el americano. No. Definitivamente no. Depende cuál acento americano. Porque algunos de América sí es muy difícil para entenderlo, pero otros son más fáciles que australiano. El acento australiano es muy, muy raro, en verdad. Mi acento es no tan fuerte, creo. Pero sí. Yeah, I was just saying, like, so Johanna was just saying that the Australian accent seems to be easier than the American, and I was like, I think some American accents are very difficult, but some are actually a lot easier. The Australian accent's not a good one, to put it simply. It's a pretty hard one in general, but I don't have a very strong Australian accent, I think. I know the eclipse would have been so much better there too. You should have come. Oh well, it's all good. I made friends there. But yeah, so in DC, I used to live there. I've talked about that before, but I don't know if I talked about it like when I left. Like I loved it in DC, but when I left, I found that I realized while I was there, I was always carrying a lot of tension. And this last trip helped me kind of understand that a little bit better, actually. Because what I thought about after I left was the fact that like the circles that I hung out in was mostly improv, right? It was mostly people who do improv. And I kind of assumed it was very similar in the rest of DC, but I actually don't think I think that's less true than I used to think. No, I don't think that as much as I used to think that. I think like DC is very progressive, but the improv community is unique as well, even within that. But where was I going with this? So what I found was I moved from DC to Colombia, and when it comes to being like politically correct, it was kind of the opposite. DC is very, very, very politically correct, or at least especially in the improv community. But then going to Colombia, no one cares at all what they say about anything. I'm generalizing, but relatively speaking, it was a massive, massive difference. And so I noticed that even when I was with friends back in DC, you always felt like you had to be very careful with everything you said. And don't get me wrong, like, you guys know I try to be careful with what I say, right? But it's another level when you're stressed about it. Oh, Chutter, thanks for following, by the way. I didn't see you join, but if you're still here, thanks for being here. But yeah, and so that's what I was worried about, was like if I did move back to DC, that I would want to have a different mentality about it. Like I wouldn't want to just be living every day feeling anxious about like anything you say around people who are apparently your friends, right? So that was kind of what I understood after I like left. I kind of was appreciating that. Abrevian mucho. Es increíble. Entiendo lo que dices después cuando lo explicas en inglés al resto. Está bien. Está bien. Dime, Johanna, si quieres para mí traducir lo que estoy diciendo ahora. Pero si estás diciendo que puedes entenderlo, va a ser más fácil, más rápido para mí a solo decirlo una vez. I was just telling Johanna that if she wants me to translate what I'm saying, to let me know, but otherwise it's going to be faster if I say it in one language. Minty, I wish I skipped class. All we did was homework. We were allowed to step out for 10 minutes to watch the peak, but that's it. Oh no, that's really disappointing. I was in 99.98% totality, so it didn't get as dark as everywhere else. But it was still so cool. Well, 99.98 is huge. Like, that's more than most places, right? So that would have been amazing. I took some videos. I shared one on Instagram, if anyone saw that. Yo hablas despacio y se agradece porque cuando hablan rápido los estadounidenses parece todo un bloque de palabras. Intento para hablar un poco despacio, entonces ojalá está funcionando. Glad you experienced some of it. Yeah, agreed, Mooney. Se tiene que ser difícil para ti estar traduciendo todo el tiempo. A veces es así, pero sí. Okay, so anyway, to finish what I was saying though with DC, like something that I kind of learned on this last trip was that, well, I think what I thought before was that the reason I felt like I always had to be careful is that everyone is always waiting for a chance to tell you what you're doing wrong. And so don't get me wrong, if you do something wrong, like we should be able to tell each other. Say, hey, look, it might be a better idea if you avoid this, or, you know, whatever. Like we need to be able to do that. but there's almost like an energy in DC where people are like, they just really need to tell you, you know, like, it's like, I don't know how to put this. There's a name for it called virtue signaling. If you haven't heard that phrase before, virtue signaling is the idea that like someone tries to make themselves look better or feel better or whatever it might be by showing how good they are. And so they go out of their way to like show how good they are. And like, and the way that that happens is, hey, you can't talk like that, you know, like that's racist, or that's this, or that's that, you know, like, and they're doing that to make themselves look better. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly the motivation for everyone, and it might not even be something that people realize they're doing for the ones that are doing it. But that kind of thing is very common, I think, in DC. And that's what I thought going into it. And I thought that that was the problem, right? Like all these people just always feeling like they want to just signal how great they are. And so they're always like jumping on people, even if they understand like the motivation, right? Because for me, that's important. For a lot of people in DC, what you intend is not that important. Like if you say something that might be offensive, whether you meant it to be offensive or not isn't important to a lot of people in DC. I think it is important. I think it should always be important because it changes how you approach it. And it also changes, if it wasn't intentional, how quickly and easily you might be able to correct it. Like if someone says something that's offensive, they don't know it's offensive, you can just say, hey, by the way, that might be offensive to someone who is this race or this gender or, you know, trans or, you know, whatever it might be. And so, and if someone didn't intend it, wasn't aware of it, whatever it might be, you let them know, they just go, oh, my mistake, thanks for letting me know. That's the end of it, right? But in DC, what happens is intention is not really a consideration at all, so people just let you know, like, they just like tell you as if you are choosing to be very racist or choosing to be very sexist or choosing to be whatever, no matter what your kind of intention was. And so, yeah, that's like, I think that is problematic in itself. Like, even if you have the best intentions, even if it's not virtue signaling, even if you actually want to help people be better, that is not how you help them be better. That won't make a positive change in people. That's going to make people upset with you. And that's not how you make them change their behavior. So, yeah, so I thought like that's problematic for a lot of reasons. So I thought that was the main motivation though. But what I'm starting to kind of what I started to realize in this last trip, mainly based on one conversation I had with people, was it's not just that people want to tell you like how you're wrong. It's like you can't have a conversation about things. And I thought it was because of that. Like I thought it was because no matter what you want to talk about, like people will have a go at you. But it's like you can't have a conversation about things because people feel like they already have the answer. And I think that's the bigger problem. Like that's the problem before the problem that I just was talking about, right? Like people saying, oh, I need to tell you how wrong you are. That's a problem. But before that, the reason this is a problem is because they've decided what's correct, right? So if they've already decided this is what's right, so if you do or say this, it's wrong, I need to tell you it's wrong. Like, you know, that's why it goes like, that's where this problem starts, because they've already decided on things. And there are a lot of things, probably most things, that are not decided. Like, if we had perfect solutions to things, we would have fixed everything already. So, and it's also quite arrogant, I think. Like, and I'm speaking, again, very generally, right? Because if you are someone in a specific community, then yes, you have more authority to speak to things in that community than people outside of that community. You know, that's for sure. But just generally speaking, for anyone to just decide that they know what the right answer is actually kind of arrogant in itself, I think. And so yeah, so I think there's that is a piece of it that I didn't really think about before this last trip. And like there was one main conversation I had with some people that helped me kind of really understand that a bit better. Like, because, you know, and I won't get into the details now because we've already run out of break time. But if you guys want to know about that conversation, let me know and we can talk about it in the next break. But it was a difficult conversation because I like having difficult conversations, because I think those are the conversations that help us all grow and understand ourselves better, understand other people better. You know, those are the kinds of conversations that help you do that. And so those are the kind of conversations I want to be able to have, and feel like it can be difficult in DC because people don't let you have them. And what I'm understanding now is a reason why that happens is because if something might be a difficult conversation, a lot of people have already made up their mind. And so you're not discussing it. You're just, in their mind, it's not a conversation. In their mind, this is just someone else I need to educate. That's the thing. Like, so if I bring up a conversation about something difficult, they're not coming into this conversation thinking, okay, Harry and I are going to talk about this. We're going to share ideas. I'm going to understand him better. He's going to understand me better. That's not how a lot of people, I think, approach it. A lot of the people that I've had conversations with in the past, I think a lot of them don't approach it like that. I think they approach it like, okay, I've heard what Harry had to say. Now the rest of this is going to be me having to teach him something. And that's not a conversation. I don't need to tell you that, right? Like, a conversation involves sharing ideas in both directions. So if someone's already decided they know what's right, they're not interested in hearing anything else. They only want to educate you. And then it makes it, like, in my mind, I'm having a conversation. So when I debate with them, when I challenge them, when they try to teach me something and I question it, they think I'm reacting, you know, like, in a way that's like the way that it, like, you know, if we're talking about race, I'll just, you know, just pick an example. If we're talking about race and I question something that gets said to me, because in their mind, they're just teaching me the right thing, right? Like, Harry didn't know this yet, so let me teach him. So when they tell me something and I question it, me questioning it is like, wait, why are you arguing with me about this? I'm telling you that this other thing was racist. Wait, the fact that you're arguing, that tells me that you must be racist. You know, like, that's how people react. Because they're not having a conversation, they're just trying to teach. And that's the part that I did not understand for a really long time while I was there. Like, I never understood that while I was there. And even for years after I left, I always thought, oh, what, like, you know, you can't really have difficult conversations very easily there. But this one conversation I had a few days ago just really, like, helped me understand exactly what I think might be happening there. Because I talked about it with two different people, actually. I talked about this topic with two different people who both came back with the same kind of answer, right? Like, they were both queer people. One was trans, one was black. So, like, a lot of intersectionality in, like, the experiences they were bringing to the conversation when they spoke to me about it. But they both kind of came to me with the same idea of, it gets tiring to always have to kind of empathize with people and help them understand things. And, like, that I agree with, don't get me wrong, that's completely valid. But the question I have then is that the approach that they're always bringing to these conversations, that they have to be the one educating? I mean, are they ever questioning themselves, right? Like, you know, if I was a trans man, I feel like it would be difficult for me to already decide everything that means, right? Like, that's a lifetime journey for me to understand what that means for me, at least, let alone anyone else. So surely you're not approaching every conversation like it's up to me to just educate someone, right? Like, you know, like if I have a conversation, like I've never mentioned this on stream, but I grew up Muslim. I think this is literally the first time I've mentioned it on stream, actually, because it just doesn't come up. But if you guys wanted to talk to me about what that means, what does that mean to be me growing up in Australia as a Muslim boy, child, teenager, man, whatever, like, how insulting would it be if I came into that conversation just like, only what I have to say matters? Like, that would be pretty insulting, right? Like, okay, granted, you might not be that sort of intersectionality of identity. Can't think of a better way to put that. But that doesn't mean you wouldn't have anything valuable to say, and it would be insulting and arrogant for me to assume that you didn't. So, anyway, I'm rambling, definitely. But that was really valuable for me to kind of understand that, I think. And I think and understanding that, I think would help me if I do decide to move back to DC. I think understanding all of that would help me, because it will at least let me better understand how I would want to respond. I'm not saying I'm going to be able to make it perfect and have everyone always be happy, but I'm not going to take things as personally as I used to, like thinking that I'm the problem all the time, when sometimes I'm not, right? Sometimes I will be, sometimes I won't be, but I'm not always going to like default to, oh, someone was upset with me, therefore it must be my fault. No, sometimes people get upset and it's their fault. Like, that's actually just a thing that happens sometimes. That's probably not a great thing. If someone clipped that one line, it would look really bad. But sometimes if you get upset, it's your own fault. That's just the thing that happens in life sometimes. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. What do you like? I haven't been reading chat, so let me just catch up on that really quick, and then we'll get back to work. Sorry about that. It sounds annoying to live around that, people. I have a friend who is like that, and we fight constantly. I'm constantly giving arguments without being asked. If not, he immediately corrects me, and it bothers me. Yeah, you probably know what I'm feeling then, Kata. That sounds very familiar. I just realized that I lost my subscription, Frog. I'll fix it after the study. And is that a drowning fish? Minty, I've been there. I found new friends and I've been a lot happier since, even if it was rocky at first. It will be hard for me to leave this friend, but it's so exhausting. But of course, you're alright. Just to put this out there, I don't think myself or Minty would know enough about this friend to tell you that you shouldn't be friends with them. So, yeah, I wouldn't default to you need new friends. Maybe you do, but maybe all you need is a better understanding of how to deal with that friend, and then everyone will be happier. Maybe. Intento entender, pillo muchas palabras, lo peor son los verbos para mí. No hay problema, Joanna. I like how you put that, Kata. I always ask, like, si quieres decir, or si está bien para mí a preguntar. Or when I ask someone where they're from, it's like, you know, if that's okay. Si no te molesta, que pregunte. I like that. I agree. I've had friendships, and because we could only have a conversation of me being wrong and not why I'm being wrong, while at the same time not being able to have a vice versa conversation whatsoever. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that, Minty. Was that about which part? What did I say that you needed to hear? I said a lot of things. To be honest, I don't think this was rambling. Very cool topic, and I learned a new concept, virtue signaling. Yes. Johanna, puede ser que Kata puede traducir mejor que yo, pero en corta, virtue signaling es como cuando alguien quiere mostrar al mundo que es buena persona. Entonces, siempre están diciendo a otros, no puedes hacer esto, no puedes decir esto. porque soy una buena persona y yo sé que es buena. Entonces, tengo que decirte, tengo que enseñarte qué es bueno para hacer. Es como así. Pero, Kata, porfa, corregir algo si crees que puedes decirlo mejor. Furthermore, this friend is big and tall and has a deep voice, and I am small and have a high voice. Basically, I always... Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. But there's something that... like, I am small and have a high voice. So... No, but like sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I know exactly what you mean. Like... If they might come across intimidating, right? Is that the kind of point? Like if they're intimidating, then you feel like you need to back off. Hopefully they're not, like, if they're a friend, hopefully they're not actually intimidating you. Hopefully they're not actually like scaring you. Because if they're tall and have a deep voice, they're not controlling that. So hopefully it's not like intentionally, hey, I'm going to tell you and you're going to listen, and, like towering over you or something. Like that would be, if that kind of thing was going on and it was actually on purpose, I would be starting to agree with Minty that that's not the kind of person you want around. But yeah. Some people get mad and it's their fault. You needed to hear that. Yeah, I mean, it's logical, right? That's a logical thing. If you think about it, if you remove yourself from every situation and just think, sometimes I get upset and it's my own fault. That sentence, there's nothing controversial about that sentence, right? But if I said that sentence in certain circles in DC, you better believe they would be telling me, no. If someone gets upset, they always have a right to be upset. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a right. Actually, I misspoke just now. They have a right. People can be upset, but it doesn't make it your fault. By definition, it's not your fault. So, because people will have you believe that if you say something that is upsetting to someone, no matter what, you've done something wrong. That is a premise I disagree with. Sometimes you might say something that will upset people, but you need to, if you're going to actually break down that topic, do something about it, whatever it might be. Sometimes it's not intentional, in which case, you can let them know, and if they correct the behavior, again, nothing wrong there, right? If you let them know and then they continue, like if someone says, like if someone here was, like if you called me, like let's say that, I mean, I don't want to pick a, let's say that I was exploring being bisexual. And someone here kept calling me straight. And I was like, look, I don't know that I am straight anymore. I appreciate it if you wouldn't keep saying that. If they ignore me and then keep saying it, okay, now you're doing something which is a problem. So, by the way, that's not the case. I am straight, so feel free to call me straight. Don't know why it would come up, but anyway. But my point there is if someone gets shown to them what they were doing was a problem, and they continue doing it on purpose again, right? Because accidents might still happen, but if they continue doing it on purpose, that's a major problem, in my opinion. Look, I had a conversation with someone actually in Dallas. So they're with two people. There was a mother and their child. Their child was non-binary with autism. So a lot of intersectionality in terms of that identity. And they told me a story about an uncle that decided, no, I'm going to call you by the name you were born with, not the name that you are kind of identifying with and choosing now. And I'm not even going to acknowledge that you have autism. I'm going to keep telling you that you can just do certain things if you try hard enough and things like that. Now, that person was told multiple times that was not helpful, right? To put it lightly. But they chose to continue. That's a problem. The first time, maybe it was an accident. Once you've been told, you continue, that's a problem. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent again. But my point is, though, like, not every single time someone upsets someone else is that person doing something wrong. And we shouldn't act like it is. Actually, if anything, if we approached it the opposite way, we might find we're better at making the thing stop. Right? Like, no one likes being accused of something. No one likes being told, you messed up. You are the problem. No one likes that. So even people with great intentions, if that's how you come at them, they might not react in a good way. Even people who would want to do the right thing might react badly. And I don't think anyone wants that. So yeah, let me just finish the chat off really quick. I think I'm almost caught up. Trata es la expresión pública de sentimientos destinados a demostrar el buen carácter o competencia de una persona. O la corrección moral sobre un tema en particular, igual o lo busque. Okay, my pronunciation is terrible. I'm just reading fast. Busque siendo honesta. Chiquito, no entiendo. He's right. It's whatever you feel is for the best. Dumping a friend as a first line doesn't make sense unless it's really bad. My friendships were on the decline for a year before it ended. Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, Minty, like, I had a very close friend who, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I had a very close friend who we decided to stop being friends because it wasn't a good, healthy friendship. Now, if you spoke to them about the reasons why, they might give you a different answer. For my part, I just think we weren't on the same page about what we were expecting from each other as friends. And yeah, that led to some problems that it became clear to me that we weren't going to get past them. They are a great person. I still think that. Nothing has changed. I've never thought anything other than they are a great person. But unfortunately, our friendship wasn't going to... I didn't see a path to our friendship being a good one. Well, okay, that sounded harsher than I wanted it to. It was a good friendship most of the time, but there were certain problems that made it, sorry to use the word untenable. What's a good translation for untenable? Like, no puedes mantener eso. So like, yeah, it was a good friendship except for these certain problems that I think made it so that we couldn't maintain it. Yeah, that's my point of view. If you ask them, they might say something different. But anyway, where was I going with this? Minty, you were talking about friendships being on the decline. Yeah, it was like that for me. It took a while for me to sort of realize that it wasn't really going to get better. I've done that before too. I've gotten upset at things I really had no business being upset about. I think it's human nature sometimes. Productive time. Thank you for the raid. We've been having a very long discussion about having difficult conversations, about virtue signaling, about how one might deal with friendships that might not be healthy. This has been a very intense conversation, actually. So welcome, everyone. You are catching the end of that. I'm just going to catch up on chat and get back to focus because we are supposed to be focusing right now. But welcome and productive time. Thank you for the raid. Let me, I was about to rage you back by accident instead of shouting you out. Everybody, back to productive time. Let's go. Insostenible. Insostenible. Gracias. Eso. All right, I caught up on chat. All right, so there you go. Thanks for that conversation, everyone. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure that you guys must have more thoughts about it, because I was talking a long time and not really giving you guys much of a chance to say much. So let me know what you guys think. But I'm going to go on mute now. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Have a good one. Bye bye bye. Bye.